working on a marijuana farm. A real-life story. The first time I heard about this job was in Bali. We were surfing with a big international group. One day, between waves and beers, one of my new friends, Andreas, a guy from Lithuania, casually told me about his lifestyle. For the last 3 years, he had been spending a few months each year trimming weed in California. The rest of the time, he traveled around Southeast Asia and surfed. He said the money was more than enough. That idea stuck in my head. I found a cheap flight from Europe and went looking for my own cannabis El Dorado. Medical marijuana is legal in California. You can buy it in dispensaries if you have a doctor's recommendation. Anxiety, depression, insomnia, even PMS can qualify. On Santa Monica Beach in Los Angeles, you could get that recommendation for about $40. Right there, near the ocean. There were millions of people interested. Dispensaries popped up everywhere. Delivery startups. Even vending machines where, instead of coffee, you could buy a small bag of weed.
No surprise.
On the very first day of legal marijuana sales in Colorado, the state made over $1 million. This was a brand new market, fast-growing, worth billions. Legally, a person with a medical card could not only buy marijuana, but also grow it. Up to 6 mature plants and 12 immature ones. You could grow them in your backyard. Nobody cared. If you had extra, you could sell it to dispensaries, paying about 28% tax. Grow around 25 plants, process them into buds or oil, and you could make up to $150,000 a year. That's why California has so many legal farms with not-so-legal plants. And that's why there's always work. Getting that job turned out to be harder than I expected. I planned to go north from San Francisco to the Emerald Triangle, Mendocino, Humboldt, and Trinity counties. That's where more cannabis is grown than anywhere else in the world. Local legends say everyone there is secretly in the weed business, and you can find a job just by asking on the street. Reality was different. I didn't want to walk around areas full of meth heads, people addicted to meth, often homeless or completely burned out. I asked every American friend I knew, went to raves,
Clubs.
parties full of stoners. Nothing. It felt like this information was guarded better than government secrets. Time dragged on. I moved from couch to couch in San Francisco, the most expensive city in the country, slowly losing hope. Until one night, at a party, a friend's roommate overheard me talking about this job and texted someone she knew. That's how I met Red. In this business, you don't share contacts freely. Usually the boss calls you, or you meet in person. That same evening, I packed a small backpack, old clothes I didn't care about, and a tablet loaded with music, audiobooks, and movies. Red warned me, no internet, no cell service, nothing. Because of that, we spent days messaging, trying to agree on an exact time and place to meet. I was afraid he'd change his mind or that we'd miss each other completely. At the meeting spot, I nervously smoked and paced back and forth along a dusty forest road. Red was late. I felt like I was either searching for treasure or getting scammed. Just when I decided to give up and walk back to the bus stop, a white pickup truck appeared in a cloud of dust. That's how my journey into illegal cannabis farming began. We drove up a destroyed dirt road that felt like a giant washboard. Tall pine trees closed in on both sides. Mountains appeared ahead. Along the way, we passed abandoned rusted cars and warning signs. Private property.
No trespassing.
The sun disappeared quickly. Purple fog rolled down from the hills. I was nervous. The land was divided by several gates with code locks. Open the gate. Drive through. Close it. For times. About an hour total. Finally, I saw the house. A 2-story wooden cabin in a large clearing. Another pickup truck nearby. Potted plants under lamps. Generator parts. Axes. Car parts. Rough, but organized. Inside, the house was warm and cozy. Many trimmers live in tents, working, cooking, and sleeping in the same space, in heat or freezing cold. Here, we had a kitchen full of food, hot showers, and real beds. Almost like a hotel. A dealer's hotel. Red introduced me to the team, Liz and Fred, a couple. Liz looked Latina. Beautiful face, long black hair. Fred looked like a classic stoner. Honestly, I never would have guessed they were together. Fred's father was a jazz musician. He taught his son how to play saxophone and dance, from tango to boogie woogie. These were the people I'd live and work with for the next months. That night, We sat at a kitchen table covered in different strains of weed. In the middle, a pot of sausages and a pan of noodles. Food of the gods. We ate like wolves and went to sleep. Work started early the next day. Day 1. I woke up before everyone, full of excitement. Showered. Washed my hair. Dried it under a heater. Put on my only nice shirt and ate oatmeal, something I normally hated. It felt like my first workday wasn't on an illegal farm, but at Buckingham Palace. Liz and Fred came out looking tired and happy. Red appeared last, half asleep. They started watching an old American TV show. I got annoyed. I was here to work, not waste time. Liz noticed my face and apologized. They had just finished another farm and were exhausted. Work started at 11:30 a.m. The process was simple. The plants were already cut, dried, and roughly trimmed. Our job was to clean the buds, removing dry leaves without crystals. We worked in gloves. If resin got into your skin, you could get high just from that. Scissors had to be cleaned in alcohol every 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes the guys scraped the sticky resin off the scissors and smoked it. Liz showed me how to trim properly. I tried. She approved. Red paid $150 per pound. 1 pound a day, easy pace. 2 pounds if you pushed hard. That first day with my university degree, I made $200. Back home, that was a monthly salary. Day 2. The living room where I sleep has a stained glass window. Waking up with that view feels twice as good. I have beautiful dreams, and I actually sleep well, even though the couch is old and completely worn out. For breakfast, I make granola with nuts and almond milk, something I could never afford back home. The hardest part of our workday is going to the bathroom. You have to stand up very carefully so you don't bump into anything, knock anything over, or spill buds everywhere. You remove the trimming tray from your lap. Shake leaves off your pants so you don't leave a green trail behind you. Carefully take off your gloves, then put them back on. Sit down again, already exhausted, as if all your motivation went straight into the toilet with your pee. Trimming is monotonous, boring work. Your back goes numb, your shoulders ache. But everyone is allowed to smoke. We test different strains Red brings us, and also the ones we trim ourselves. Sometimes it helps. Mostly it slows you down, but it's more fun. Fred is constantly joking. When he's high, he's always in a great mood. Liz and I joke that we should film him and make a sitcom about trimmers' lives. I actually have a camera in my backpack. We entertain ourselves however we can. On the first day, at Liz's request, we listened to all of Michael Jackson's albums. Fred took over after that. 6 straight hours of jazz. 6 hours. More jazz than I've heard in my entire life. Today is my turn. I want to introduce them to Russian music. I play everything mixed together. Viktor Tsoi, Tchaikovsky, folk songs, Mugis, Leningrad. After 2 hours, Fred makes a sour face and says all Russian music is way too depressing. What an asshole. Day 3. Today Tom Sawyer arrives. Yes, that's his real name. He's Red's close friend and also his colleague. They work for the same boss, growing weed on his land. Liz and Fred know him well and like him. They say he's very fun, even though he's over 40. Tom is from Louisiana. He lives in a mansion with white columns, believes in voodoo, and performs rituals in the swamps. He and Red drink coffee in the kitchen and discuss details of an upcoming cannabis festival. Their group will present several strains, and if they win prizes, they'll get recognition, prestige, and higher prices. I think Tom likes me. He keeps staring at my hair. You're good, he says. Because I look like Huck Finn? No. Because you have blue eyes, light hair, and good parents. That's how I find out Tom Sawyer is also far-right. It's absurdly funny. Later, he sighs and tells me his family drama. They're all Southern, all Confederate supporters. Tom's 80-year-old grandfather used to be in the Ku Klux Klan. He'd still wear the white hood if he could. Recently, Tom's sister ran away with a black man and later brought him and their mixed-race children to meet the family. The grandfather almost had a heart attack. A completely Shakespearean plot. Day 4 as usual, I wake up early and make granola with yogurt and fruit. Everything organic. Red only buys food that costs twice as much as normal. But I'm not paying, so I don't care. That's his system. He pays slightly less per pound than others, but fully covers food. We write whatever we want on a list, and every few days he goes to town to restock. While I'm eating breakfast, I hear shouting from Liz and Fred's room. They want to leave for Thanksgiving and ask to be paid for the days they worked. They live in San Francisco. Red isn't ready for such fast payments. He gets money from wholesale sales. A pound sells $4, $1,100, $1,200, but quickly, he can only get $500. They never discussed payment terms beforehand. That's why it turns into drama. Usually people get paid daily, weekly, before trips, or at the end. Everything must be clarified. I try to calm everyone down. Still, Liz and Fred decide to leave tomorrow. Red has to find the money. Swearing nonstop, he goes to borrow it from Tom.
Day 5.
The first thing I see when I wake up is a fairy tale forest. The lower parts of the trees are wrapped in fog, and sunlight cuts through the branches above. I open the window wide and breathe in cold pine air. The house is still asleep. Birds are already screaming outside. I make a big mug of mint tea and start working while Liz and Fred pack their things. They have tons of clothes. At their last farm, they slept in tents, and there were over 15 people. Liz says, "I'm very lucky. Here there are only 3 of us." Red drives them to town. Someone else gives them a ride to San Francisco. Red asks me to find replacements. He has no one lined up. I call a friend in Los Angeles. He's thrilled and promises to arrive tomorrow. While trimming, I notice how thoughts change. First, you focus on dry leaves hidden in the bud. Then childhood memories. Then random thoughts. Old romances. Moments from life. Everything. It becomes meditation. Day 6. I wake up late. Sunlight on my face. It's already 11. Red went to pick up my friend from a gas station and deliver samples to the festival. Now there will be 2 Russian speakers here. I'm happy and trim nonstop. I even think about filming diaries of our forest life. I grab the camera, and my friend Alex walks in, shining like a Hollywood star on a red carpet. This is his moment of glory. He's dreamed of trimming weeds since he was 14 after his first bong hit. Day 7. Let a goat into the garden. Alex gets too high. Work stops. We're already watching the second Harry Potter movie. Day 8. On the 24th, Red and Alex bring a huge turkey. We bake it for 6 hours. Boiled potatoes, green beans, amazing sauce, apple pie. We eat way too much. Of course, the guys smoke heavily beforehand. Then we collapse on the couch and watch movies. We've all gone a little crazy here, but we feel like a family. At this point, I don't even notice who smokes, when, or how much. It's routine, like going to the bathroom. Grind a bud, roll a joint, take a hit,
move on.
I don't smoke much. I came here to work. Day 9. I teach Alex how to trim properly. I get angry. I want to hit his fingers with a ruler. So far, he's pure loss. I suddenly remember my school teacher, Tamara Ivanovna. How did she survive 10 years with us? A saint. Day 10, day off. We drive around in Red's pickup, visiting his plantations. Each tree has its own automatic watering system. Water comes from barrels at the top of the mountain. I never imagined marijuana plants could be so huge. They grow in special containers, not in soil. The trunks are wrapped in foil. Rats sometimes make it up here. The mountain views are better than anything I've ever seen. Now I understand why California weed hits the hardest. Later, we visit a nearby town during a farmer's market. Fresh vegetables, meat, greens. We're sick of noodles and canned food. At a thrift store, I find a colorful shirt, almost identical to the one Johnny Depp wore in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. A sign from God. I find a bucket hat too. We search the entire town for yellow sunglasses.
No luck.
Desperate, we go into a dark bar for a beer. And there, a group of stoned teenagers playing pool. One of them has the exact glasses. I try to buy them. Offer money. No chance. They suggest a pool game. They put the glasses on the line. We put $100. Insanely expensive for cheap sunglasses. But whatever. Alex plays for me and redeems all his sins. He wins. Now I trim weed fully in character. Somewhere in heaven, Hunter S. Thompson is laughing his ass off. Day 11. Red tries to cheer me up because I keep dreaming about cottage cheese from my grandmother's village. He finds American cottage cheese, salty, watery, but still cottage cheese. He strains it through layers of gauze and makes me eat it instead of oatmeal. Inspired, I decide to make dumplings, but with only organic products. Almond milk instead of real milk, brown flour instead of white, coconut oil instead of sunflower, sea salt, maple syrup. The result is questionable. Good thing the guys are high. They love it. Day 12. A bad day. My eyes start hurting by lunch. Then I reach for scissors and pinch a nerve in my back. I lie on the floor for 2 hours, laughing and crying. The guys run around, confused, trying to help. Work is over for the day. I can barely walk. That morning, I also heard a helicopter. I woke Alex in panic. Red told us helicopters once came and cut down immature plants. Sometimes they even arrested trimmers. Day 13. Mexican trimmers arrive. The fast but sloppy kind. Their previous farm ran out of weed, and through contacts they came to Red. Alex and I get tense. If we finish faster together, the job ends faster. I notice how money has pulled me in. I get angry at people who need money just as much as I do. I work myself into a frenzy. I set a record, 1,300 grams in one day. Over $450 earned. And suddenly I realize, what will I even do with all this money? The last date in my weed-saturated diary is February 5th. That day, Alex and I pack our things, say goodbye to Red and Tom, and head south. We feel like millionaires. 2 weeks of work is enough to rent a red Ford Mustang convertible. I buy a Polaroid and tons of film. Alex buys an iPhone and fashionable clothes. We don't look like burned-out hippies who lived in the woods for months. We drive Highway 101, the most beautiful road in America, the ocean, Vic-sur-Cliff, green hills, lighthouses. Kerouac once drove here. Now we follow his tracks. While trimming weed for hours, I often felt despair. I ask myself, what am I doing with my life? But now in my pocket is a ticket from Los Angeles to Hawaii. A surfboard is waiting for me there, and a completely different life.